Administrative evil. Interesting. There's a lot of books on it, but it pretty much sums up what we're under. It's been around for a long time. Administrative evil fundamentally challenges the ethical foundations of public and organizational life. Our reluctance to recognize the importance of administrative evil as part of the identity and practice of public policy and administration reinforces its continuing influence and increases the possibility of future acts of dehumanization and destruction, even in the name of public interest. Despite the extensive literature on public service ethics, there is little recognition of the most fundamental ethical challenge to the professional within a technical, rational culture. That is, one can be a good or responsible administrator or professional and at the same time commit or contribute to acts of administrative evil. Public service in the United States in the last century conceived of the public bureaucracy largely as an instrument of democratic rule. Government spending via contracts has not only grown, it has also expanded into new areas. Furthermore, I was listening to this Professor Epstein was his name, but he basically was saying how the administrative, it's the fourth branch of government is what it is, and there's no regulation. And he used the Department of Labor Act as a way to describe it, one of the worst things that happened, because it has its own courts, its own rules. It's just separate from the Constitution. So whenever you have your labor disputes, well, you're not really, nothing is under the Constitution that you were born under, that everything is supposed to be acting under. And that's just one example of that administrative state. And of course, we all know the Department of Labor is not mentioned in the Constitution. But administrative evil people, they want to have control, for whatever reason. This also goes on, and that's just what that professor said. He wasn't talking about administrative evil. He was doing a lecture on law, and he was just saying that basically administrative people that haven't been elected to anything, the Department of Labor, but many other departments, CDC, they really run everybody. And then they're around so long that you can't get rid of them. Yeah, well, they all got to go. They do. I don't know how that will happen, but it has to. It just has to. And every corporation needs to be turned upside down, and let them have less power than, they shouldn't have more power than the everyday people. Because that's what's happened, is the administrative state has basically, it's made it work more for the wealthy. So we're not living under our Constitution. So to go back to the Constitution, whether you like the Department of Labor or not, or the CDC, it's got to go. It's got to go. It's all part of that shadow government anyway. So this is what this professor had said. This isn't about administrative evil, but I would say it kind of goes hand in hand in a way. He was talking about law, though. He said, without question, the most distinctive feature of the modern social democratic state is the rise of the administrative agencies, which at the federal level function as a shadowy fourth branch of government that fits uneasily into our constitutional scheme of separation of powers, and which at the state level oversee vast swaths of economic activity. Defenders of the current administrative setup claim the elaborate procedural safeguards built into today's administrative law effectively blunt the risk of arbitrary power, whose exercise has always been in tension with the rule of law. This massive discretion routinely confided in administrative agencies is in fact inconsistent with the rule of law on a wide range of matters dealing with economic liberties, tort liability, private property, and the institutional autonomy of voluntary associations. Then he goes on to say, he was answering somebody's question, and he goes on to say, but once you get to the progressive hearing, their view is monopolies are a problem. Who are you kidding? It's competition that's the problem. It's always the problem. And from there, you get your cartels, you get the National Labor Relations Act, and at that point, you've conceived, in my judgment, in his judgment, an original sin, and all of the things that they do are illegitimate. So the conclusion is that when government tries to take a competitive market and convert it into a monopolistic market, it should always be struck down on constitutional grounds. So it's the wicked system that we all contribute to. A system of laws and regulations that make public deliberations and decisions visible to the public becomes the pillar of public ethics, regardless of which assumptions about human nature one holds and which version of public ethics one thus finds persuasive. No human communities, even deliberative ones, democratic and virtuous ones, offer any guarantees against administrative evil. The second scenario for public ethics focuses on the democratic aspect of our political heritage, in particular, deliberative democracy, and has been more visible at the local level. Putting cruelty first, the first scenario, is more apparent in American public life at the national level. It gives precedence to liberty within the pantheon of American political values and offers a public ethics which at best provides a minimalist defense against administrative evil. Deliberative democracies insist on a meaningful role for citizens in public decision-making, although sorting out which citizens and what decisions are appropriate for deliberation represent ongoing problems. So basically, I'm bringing this up because I just think that evil should be called out as evil. And when you're somebody that's just milking the system, screwing your employees over, and when I say screwing your employees over, I mean, you don't give them raises anymore. You don't pay them what they're worth. You basically just want to get rid of them to bring in AI. Then you just do that. You become the evil people that we see at the World Economic Forum. The people at the World Economic Forum are not just misguided. Noah Yuval Harari is not misguided. I mean, maybe you could say he's misguided. No, he's evil. Okay? Like, we need to just call out what is evil. His ideas, his plans for the future, and they did all this without us caring about what the little people think. So that's why it's all got to go. It's just I don't know how you wipe the slate clean, but come hell or high water, the whole earth is going to go through a massive shaking because this can't maintain. You cannot have wicked people running everything and expect to not have destruction follow. So it has to be defeated. It just does. And the first way of understanding it is to stop, like, putting these people in some category where, no, they've become sick with money and power. I'm sorry that happened to them, but I'm sure they were given many warning signs that somewhere their conscience told them not to do what they were doing. They still did it, and then did it so many times to people, screwing people over, wanting power and money, that they became used to it and it no longer mattered. These people don't have empathy. The World Economic Forum, most of your major they do not have empathy. Dollar signs and power is all they care about. They have never shown that they will sacrifice a thing. So, we need to start calling evil what it is. They're evil.